and we don't talk about it because it's embarrassing. It's seen as weakness, and it's hard because it's very personal. And I think that's one of the greatest enemies. The more you talk about it, the easier it gets to talk about it, and the smaller the problem seems, because suddenly when you start talking about it, you realize that I'm not alone. There are actually other people who struggle with the same things that I struggle with. It's not just me who's being paranoid, who feels lazy because you can't get out of bed and it's an effort to take a shower. You don't feel like you're the worst wreck in the world because that freaking pet, that hellhound, tells you that you're shit. And so that's why I'm talking about it here today. Because we need to talk about it. We need to be aware of it, and we need to embrace the fact that people struggle sometimes. And that's okay. It's okay to not be okay. So first and foremost, I am not a professional. I do not have any type of education or anything other than my own personal experiences. However, at Torucon we do have Psykiskhelse, and they have medics. There is a medic stand just by the info stand. They wear yellow vests. You see two of them here. And they have full confidentiality, so if anything you tell them, they are not allowed to pass on. So please note that if you're in a position where you need to talk to someone who isn't your friends or your family or whatever during this convention, you can go to their stand and they're there to help you. So, that having been said, I will move on, and my light went off, but there we go. So yeah, one, talk about it. That is one thing, but what do we talk about? Well, we can start with symptoms, because depression is just a whole bunch of symptoms. And I grew up thinking that I was lazy. I've always considered myself lazy, because some days, just getting out of bed, having a shower, putting on clothes that aren't pajamas or comfy pants, you know, or a big oversized t-shirt, is a tremendous effort. Just remembering to eat or, you know, go outside, that's an effort. And I always thought that I was because I'm lazy and I'm shit and I'm worthless and all that. Because that's what my hellhound tells me. It tells me that there are so many other people out there who are worth so much more than you. So, you know, you shouldn't really bother. You could just give up right now. And the struggle is real and all that. So, yeah. Recognizing those symptoms, knowing when this is the depression talking, and knowing when it's actually real, they're actually out to get you, that's important. So, for example, when you see that, okay, I really just want to stay in bed and not do anything today, that's when you need to get out of bed. Recognizing that this is my depression speaking. This is my depression making me feel exhausted. The whole thing, it's such an effort to take a shower, I'm not going to see anyone today anyway, why bother? Take that shower. Routines are everything. I found being unemployed, I was unemployed for over a year, and that made my depression massively worse, and that's when I ended up asking for help, because I realised that I'm at a place now where my sleep patterns are all over the place. I can't even write a simple CV. I can't pick up a phone without feeling like my entire day of energy has been spent. So that's when I got help. And those are all symptoms. The exhaustions, the feeling of inadequacy, the feeling that people intentionally hurt you and exclude you and that feeling of interpreting things that people say or write in a way that attacks you personally. They're all symptoms. And learning to recognize them is a very, very important tool to getting better and surviving it. Because depression wants us to be alone. The hellhound wants us to only have it. So that hellhound is the only thing we have left in our life. It's the only thing we can care of. And then suddenly depression becomes who we are. Our diagnosis becomes who we are. And that's when people start pushing you away. Because it's tiresome. It's so tiresome to have that friend who's always negative, who always takes things the wrong way. Even though you mean it really well, they interpreted it negatively. And then they think that you're mind reader, you know? You should have known that this is how I felt. And all of that. Everyone's known someone like that at one point in their life. Or they've been them. I've been them. How many of you feel like you've been them? Yeah, there's quite a lot of us. And that's fine. It's fine because we're sick. And we need to get well. However, it's not an excuse. It's not an excuse because our friends are not therapists. Our friends are not, professionals, and neither are our family. So learning to recognize those symptoms and talking about them. Telling your friends that, look, I struggle with depression, and sometimes I may interpret something, but it's my depression speaking. So if I lash out at you, that might be the depression speaking. Feel free to call me out. I have a lot of friends who struggle with it, and I have some very close friends where I can call them out and say, I think your depression is talking now. Because I don't think the situation is as bad as you think it is. And then suddenly they're like, oh, yeah, you're right. And there's a relief in that. There's a relief in knowing that people aren't out to get you. People aren't out to intentionally hurt you. People aren't intentionally excluding you. That you are wanted, you are loved, and you are worthy of human interaction and care. But it's a long way getting there, and the first step is to acknowledge that you have a problem, just like everything else. I have a problem, okay. Where do we go from there? Reach out, talk about it. Get to your doctor. Go to your doctor and say, I think I struggle from depression. Can you or someone else diagnose me? I went to my doctor. I have a fantastic doctor. I'm very lucky in that sense, because not everyone does. Keep in mind, if your doctor is shit, you can change them. This is something important and very simple that a lot of people don't actually consider, because it's so easy to just go to your doctor and it's like, oh yeah, my doctor is shit, but it's such a hassle to change it. It isn't. You go on a website and you click a few buttons and there you go. And there's even recommendations that you can read other people's recommendations of doctors. So do that if your doctor is shit, because that's stuff that you shouldn't need to deal with. Okay, so I went to my doctor and I told her that I think I might be vitamin D deficient or something because I'm struggling with a lot of symptoms of depression. So she said, okay, well, I'm going to run you through a questionnaire and you need to be completely honest with me and answer with your gut feeling, and this will tell me or give me an indication of where you are mentally wise. So we did the questionnaire and I cried a lot. And at the end of it, she looked at me and she said, you're very severely depressed, and I don't think that talking is going to be enough to get you out of the hole you're in. So we're going to try some medication, if you're okay with that. And I said, yes, please. Because anything was better than the hole I was in. So I got medication, and that is not the solution. But it's a tool. It's a very good tool, and it doesn't work for everyone. Some people get massive side effects from medication, and it just messes up with everything. Some people end up feeling numb and like they're just walking around in a limbo state, tell your doctor. If you feel that the medication isn't working, tell your doctor, and they can change it, or they can find alternative ways to deal with it. Therapy, or different dosage, or different medication. But these are all there to help you. And some people don't have to take medication for their whole life. Some people can take it for a period, and then they get better. And then the sun's out again, and they can go about with their lives. And sometimes you fall back. Sometimes you will have to be medicated for your entire life. And that's a bit of a blow. It's a bit of a sort of bitterness to it. But it's okay, you know? There's no shame in it. People take painkillers when they have a headache. Why shouldn't we be able to take antidepressants when we're feeling at our lowest? So yeah, get help. Get help, learn to recognize the symptoms, and talk about it. And then there's the bigger picture here, because we're a community. And in a community, we take care of each other. That's part of being in a community. So we can't take on the entire responsibility of another person's life upon ourselves. That, unless it's your child, obviously, it's a toddler or not capable of taking care of yourself, and you said that I will take care of this child or this human being. Unless that is the case, you are not obliged to or bound by any sort of rule to take responsibility for another human being. But we can be kind. We can be generous, and we can be observant. And so if you notice that, okay, this person is clearly struggling with something, let them know that you see it, that you see them, and say, I don't know if I can help you, but, you know, you're an important part of our community. You're cool. I appreciate you. I see you. Because suddenly then the hellhound gets competition. And when the hellhound gets competition, usually the first reflex it gets is to tell you that competition is lying. I'm telling the truth. I'm your only friend. Everyone else secretly hates you. And when you don't hear them, they talk shit about you. Yeah, I'm your only friend. And it's bullshit. We know it's bullshit on a rational level, but when we're depressed, we don't think rationally. We can't differentiate between what the hellhound says and what the truth is. And it doesn't matter who you are, or what you are, or how skilled you are, or how unknown you are. There are people in this community who are known worldwide, and they struggle with mental health issues. There are people in this community whose name no one knows except for their small, tightly knit group of friends. And they might struggle with it as well. And so being seen, if you see someone today, or tomorrow, or at any convention, and you like their costume, tell them. It doesn't need to be more than, see what you did there, like it. Or like, oh, I love your character, you do it so well. Because just those small nuggets of appreciation, that might change their entire day. That might take their day from being, I regret being in cosplay because no one recognizes me, no one appreciates my character. I could have just stayed at home or just not gone in cosplay, or I shouldn't have bothered with the effort. To, oh my gosh, someone actually saw me, someone appreciates me, someone recognized the character and loves it as much as I do. So see each other, be kind to each other, be inclusive. And I mean, if you see someone who cosplays a character you like, even if you feel like, okay, this isn't exactly how I imagined this character or whatever, they still clearly love this character as much as you do, because they went to the effort of making a costume. So tell them anyway that, you know, oh yeah, I love this character too. Awesome that you decided to cosplay them. So, Then we're on to there's more of us. We're not alone here. We're a lot of people struggling. And taking some small responsibility to seeing each other and validating each other can be like a tiny collective cure, if you will. It won't do massive things on the grand scale, but it might change a person's day. And, you know, there will be shitty days. Everyone who's struggled with depression has had days, even if they're medicated, or even if they're in a really, really good phase of their life, where everything just goes to shit. And I had that early this year. I've had like a cosplay burnout. And you know, when you have all these ideas and you get geared up and maybe you start watching a new series, you see a movie and all your friends are really, really geeking out over this and you want to be part of it. And so you buy lots of stuff and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna make this cosplay. And then you come home and the hellhound's there. And you don't get anything. And you sit there and that self-loathing, the amount of shame and guilt that you put on yourself just starts to overwhelm you and creep in on you. And that can last for ages if you don't get out of it. So for me, that sent me straight down. I didn't make a single cosplay for an entirety of 12 months. I was just like, I can't. I just, you know, no. I don't do anything good. Everything I make is shit. Everything I try to make doesn't look as good as this or this or this cosplayer. I don't feel good in it, and what's the point of it anyway? And so I recognized, after a while, it took me a while, to recognize that, oh shit, hello old boy, you're back again, aren't you, you little bastard. And then I figured, okay, start small. Because that's another thing in the cosplay community. It's very positive and inclusive and community-based, but it can also feel a little competitive. Not necessarily against others, but against ourselves. We feel like we have to deliver. Every time we make a cosplay, we feel like the next cosplay has to be like a level up. And then the next one has to be a level up of that, and then up and up and up and up. And if you feel like you've made your masterpiece or whatever, which personally I feel to a certain degree about Healy, because that was my first big cosplay, and it was very well received, and I loved cosplaying the character, put so much hard work into it, and then it's just, well, if I'm making something now, it needs to be better than that again. And then you're like, oh shit, what do I do then? And then you sit there and you try to mentally push yourself to achieve more than you have the energy for. And then you forget that cosplay is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be a hobby that you enjoy with your friends, and it's not about being the best. And you can't be the best, because there's always that who's better than you. No matter what you do, seriously, no matter what you do, no matter what skill, if it's art or business or, you know, whatever, there's always that one person out there on the internet that does it better than you. And that can be really discouraging. Or it could be something that you think, yeah, that's really cool, I feel inspired now. I want to do something like that. It might not be as good as that, but I'm going to aim for it, and then I'll see how far I get. And I think that is something we need to remember for ourselves. You don't have to be the best of you every time. You don't have to be better than yourself every time. And so I took it right back. I started doing like anime cosplays and closet cosplays, and it was such a relief. It was such a relief to not have that burden of having to perform, of having to deliver everything at top-notch quality because someone has seen me in a cosplay that I'm really, really proud of once. That doesn't mean that I have to be like top skill A-game level every time. It just means that, yeah, I did something really cool. Might not do it again, but I did something really cool back then, and that's okay. Because when we get to that place where we're like, oh, I have to, depression leaps in and criticizes everything you do. It's like, oh, it's not good enough, it's not good enough, it's not living up to this, it's not living up to that. And so just taking it back, taking a break maybe, or just doing something completely different. Like me, I went from The Hobbit and like full movie realism thing to Yuri on Ice. I had a wig and a facial beard, and that was it. Actually, the first time I cosplayed Yuri on Ice, I didn't even have a wig. I just grew on a beard and like combed my hair a certain way, and I was like, okay, it's the wrong hair colour. I don't care. I don't care. It's fine. It's fine. The others know who I'm supposed to be, so who cares if anyone else notices? It's fine. And I had so much fun. I hadn't had that much fun for nearly a year, and that says something. So being able to embrace just the simple things, being able to hold on to routines, because when you're a cosplayer, you're already most likely not very routinated and not very organized. How many are guilty of this? For the record, Helveteshund Cosplay is doing a panel on cosplay planning. 10 out of 10 would recommend. I have never seen her comp brunch. I have never seen her sit up the day before a convention sewing a cosplay, because she's always done a week before, and I'm just like, teach me something. So yeah, organisation and routines are great tools against depression, because if you plan ahead and if you're organised, then you have something to fall back on when everything else goes to shit. And, of course, friends. Because when we're isolated, we only have the hellhound to tell us. And if you talk to friends and you're like, I feel like this person might not like me, and I'm like picking up these signals, is this just my depression speaking? Or am I like, is this right? Most of the time, your friend will say, no, you're not right, that's not it at all. They're just really shy. And then suddenly you're like, oh, it's just my depression playing tricks on me. So having the ability to brainstorm, if you will, and get feedback from others can be a huge icebreaker. It can be that one thing that takes you from everyone hates me to, oh, everyone else is struggling with things as well, and don't really hate me, but have social anxiety, or they really needed to pee, you know? Which could be the case. Sometimes when we meet someone, they need to pee. And that's okay too. I'm not judging. But yeah, I'm gonna need my nose again. The screen goes back quickly. Yeah, going on from routines and planning, I want to talk a little bit about boring things, like health. Yes. And food.
Oh, me.
And exercise. These are all no words at a convention. I know. But they are important. And I'm not saying that you should be like a fitness geek. I mean, look at me, do I look like a fitness geek? No. I am the furthest thing away from a fitness geek that you can get. Well, maybe not completely, but you know, you just need to do some small adjustments. And those adjustments can be as simple as eating more fruit and a little bit more veg. If you manage to do that, you have accomplished something huge. and you should be sure to pat yourself on the shoulder for that. Because when we're struggling with mental health issues, every accomplishment is big. Even if it might look small, you know, in the grander scheme of things. It's like, okay, yay, I managed to get out of bed, I managed to shower, I managed to put on clean clothes today and go for a walk. That's huge! But if you tell your neighbour that, they're like, okay. But for us, those things are huge, and no one else is going to congratulate you for it, unless you have amazing friends or amazing partners. They might do that, but you can't count on it. So you need to congratulate yourself whenever you manage to do that, and you deserve it. You deserve it. Because it's hard. It's really freaking hard. So applaud that. Back to food again. Yeah. When we're depressed, a lot of us tend to eat. And we tend to eat a lot. Because it releases endorphins. And it releases all those good feelings in our body that we don't receive elsewhere, because our depression has chased away all the good feelings, so we'll grasp on to the one straw that we have that makes us feel good. And for many of us, that's food, or candy, or maybe even alcohol. And that can very quickly turn into a bit of an addiction. And recognizing that it is a bit of an addiction is also a step in the right way, because then you can see that, okay, I might be overindulging in this. That might not be a good thing. And so getting good routines, you know, eating regularly every day. Yeah, we're at a convention, that's not going to happen. But at least if you do it the rest of the year, when you do go to a convention, you will notice more keenly when your body is actually in need of food. And then it's easier to say, oh, I just need to get some food now. Or plan ahead, and make sure that maybe you have like a granola bar, or you have a yogurt, or, you know, something emergency, maybe, you know, a little bit of Vasa knäckebröd, whatever. Something for an emergency so that you can just get some food. And that might make sure that you don't, you know, eat those 2 bags of crisps because you were hungry and you needed something salty and you needed it now. So yeah, making healthy choices and making your life and your food life organized is really helpful. So like I said, I'm not saying eat fish every day. I'm not saying that. Just be more conscious, because it will help your mental health. So think of it as that. This is a medicine. Then there's physical activity. Yeah. And as misfits and outcasts and geeks and nerds, a lot of us have a very, very tense relationship to physical exercise. Myself included. Yeah. Has anyone ever felt like they almost took pride in saying that, oh no, I don't go to the gym? You know? Yeah. Yeah. I don't exercise. I'm not one of those gym rats. That's so stupid. Only jocks do that. Yeah, I've been there. And now I have a gym membership, and I actually occasionally go. You know? Who would have thought it? But yeah, physical exercise does not need to mean that you can lift so and so many pounds in so and so many repetitions, so and so many times a week. It might simply mean that you go for a walk, that you try to maybe clock in 6,000 steps on your pedometer on your phone every day. That's it. It might mean that instead of taking the bus all the way to school or work, you take it to the stop before and then you walk the last bit. Or maybe you walk home, you know? It can be as easy as using the bike. instead of using public transport, if that is possible. It's all those small things. It's getting up and maybe making dinner instead of picking up your phone and calling, you know, Peter. All those small things. So you don't need to be an athlete to just get that little bit of extra. And I will say just getting outside for a walk, even if it's just 10 minutes around the house, or, you know, 10 minutes back and forth. It takes you out of an environment where you might have been sitting and stewing. And those of us who struggle with depression, we do a lot of stewing. We sit there and we're like, and all these thoughts are consuming us, you know? And we're like, life is shit, it's horrible, and my flat is a mess, and I'm shit, and I can't do anything. Just take yourself away from that environment for 10 minutes. And maybe you'll find when you're out there, that 10 minutes turns to half an hour, and you're suddenly like, this was a really nice walk. I managed to sort of think. I didn't have this cloud around me muffling all my thoughts. And suddenly you feel better. So when you're feeling like really, really, really low, one of the most efficient ways to break that cycle is just to go outside. Change of environment, change of setting, change of light, of air. Not to mention fresh air, you know, we are blessed in Norway with fairly good air quality, even though it's declining, but that, you know. So use that. And if you do find a physical activity that you enjoy, embrace it. You know, maybe you like swimming, go swim. Or maybe you like lifting heavy things, go lift heavy things. Maybe you like dancing. It doesn't even need to be expensive. You know, you can do it in your own living room. No one's going to watch, so, you know, why not? So, yeah. I've done physical activity, done food. General health. Take care of yourself, and not just like physically, but also mentally. Stop yourself when you hear those voices. When you hear your hellhound saying like, "You're shit, this isn't good enough," tell it to shut up. Often just saying it out loud is all you need. I have a friend who struggles with bipolar disorder, and he is currently doing a PhD in physics. He is not dumb. He is very, very intelligent and very resourceful. But sometimes his brain tells him he's worthless and everyone hates him. And I've seen him, in the middle of a conversation, just stop, go like, PhD. And then turn back again, and he's like, nah, it's just my depression telling me I'm shit, and I'm just countering it by saying So find those things that you've done that you're proud of, you know? Remind yourself what you're proud of. Remind yourself what you can accomplish, how awesome you are, because everyone has something that they can do. Maybe it takes some time finding it. Maybe it takes some time before you manage to appreciate it, but everyone has something they're good at. And even if they can't find it, they still are valuable. And I think I might still have a lot of time left, I don't quite know, but I think I'm actually going to close it up with this. And that's to say that all of you, every single one of you are important. Every single one of you are valuable. And every single one of you are loved. You might not know it, but there is someone who knows you, who loves you. And keep that in mind. Remind yourself of that every time the hellhound starts barking. You're loved, you're valued, and you're important. Thank you.